moving swiftly on and moving from Aberdeen down to Manchester, where I think Kathryn Poke is based. Kathryn worked for Armstrong for 20 years and 7 of those have been with RMI. So Kathryn's going to tell us about RMI pumping systems. So over to you, Kathryn. Thank you.
Thank you. So my name is Kathryn Poke. I'm the Engineering Director for RMI Pressure Systems and also the UK HVAC sector here in Manchester. So we go by the name of RMI Pressure Systems, but our top level group name is called Armstrong Fluid Technology. So next slide, please. So the group structure is, we're a Canadian owned company. So we have our company in Canada called SA Armstrong. They oversee both businesses. Then we have the business for the HVAC sector. So that's the building services. So that's centrifugal pumps, booster sets, pressurization units, anything which is used in buildings. So hotels, schools, data centers. So that's the core product for the HVAC sector. And then we have the RMI pressure systems. We have our head office here in Manchester, where we have a team of engineers who design all the systems to the customer specification, and we have a manufacturing facility here as well where we make the product. But we also have manufacturing facilities in Alabama in the USA, in New South Wales in Australia, and also in Shanghai in China. Next slide, please. So the Armstrong Group itself has over 1,000 employees, 7 manufacturing facilities over 4 continents. So we really are a global player. Next slide, please. And the history of Armstrong is, it was founded in 1934 by Samuel Allen Armstrong in Canada. His son then took over in 1955, James Allen, and we are still currently now in our 3rd generation of the Armstrong family. Charles Armstrong is very much involved. He's our chairman. He's visited China numerous times. He goes down the coal mines. He visits the customers there. He's very still involved significantly. Obviously, with COVID, he's not been able to travel as much. But again, it is an organisation which, family values are, at the forefront of the business. So, Charles. He's here quite a lot in the UK, and also, as I say, he visits China quite often. Next slide, please. So the core competences of Armstrong and RMI is we integrated packages. So we don't want to be just a pump provider. We like to look at an integrated package and a solution and give a solution to the problem. So we look at control solutions as well, and also intelligent service and support. So it's not just about providing the pump or the package and putting it into the mine, operating it. We're all about the life cycle cost of that product as well. So operating cost is something that we look at. So it really is important to Armstrong and the RMI group that we're not just seen as a pump manufacturer, that we developed into systems and control solutions. And we want to be working with other product manufacturers as well, being able to integrate our systems with theirs so we can get the best of all the equipment rather than each equipment working in silo with each other. Next slide, please. So RMI pressure systems, so they've been trading for over 100 years. Our core focus is longwall coal mining. That's where 90% of our business is, and we do have some business as well within the industrial sector. RMI pressure systems were originally based up in Newcastle, and Holden and Brook used to provide the high pressure pump. So the pump that we use is a positive displacement pump. That was a product from Holden and Brook, and then Holden and Brook bought out RMI and continued to operate as RMI pressure systems. And then in 2004, Armstrong took over the Holden and Brook franchise, so therefore we now all become part of the Armstrong group. We put the first mining system in China in 1950, so we've been at this quite a while now. We've got a good reputation out there in China, certainly in Australia and the US as well. We have systems underground in the coal mines, and we did have systems here in the UK as well. And our system was at the last coal mines to shut, so Hatfield, they had our pumping systems. It was quite a sad day when the UK coal mine shut for the very last time, because we used to, we used to use them as well for development projects, and it was good to see how products were operating underground. It's a bit more tricky now going out to China to be able to see what's going on there. As I say, we've got headquarters here in Manchester, and we are ISO, and we do have IECX and ATEX on a new product that we launched in 2019, and the MA as well. So that's challenging at times to the MA for China, but that's something again that we work towards. Next slide, please. So in the mining sector, it's the longwall coal mining that we operate in. So there's two systems that we provide. So there's the emulsion that we provide to the roof supports. So in an underground coal mine, you have the roof supports which move as the shearer moves and takes the coal away. The roof supports then have to move into the place of them, so it keeps the roof up so the roof doesn't collapse. Depending on what the geological conditions are, you're given a flow and a pressure typically by the roof support manufacturers themselves as to what pressure is needed to counteract the force of the earth that's pushing down on them. We're typically seeing at the moment flows, our pumps, we do 630 litres per pump, up to 420 bar in the coal mining industry. They're typically 3+1, certainly in China, it's 3 running and it's 1 standby. And we also do what we call a water system as well. So when the shearer is cutting the coal, it creates a lot of dust. So we do a water system, which is a dust suppression system. So again, we have to provide a specific amount of flow and pressure. It connects onto the shearer system, and it keeps the dust low, because obviously dust is quite flammable, and we wouldn't want anything to happen underground. We're always working, we're always striving to be innovative and to be at the forefront of technology. And typically what you had on a mining system was you had our pump, and we connected it onto a fixed speed motor. And then we had a separate controller that went with that. Variable speed technology has started to come in now in underground coal mining. They do use it on conveyors. We have started to bring it onto the pump stations now. So we developed a new product, and it's called the Agilis product. And it's the first integrated motor drive and controls all in one assembly, and it fits within the same footprint of what a standard motor does as well. So it's all explosion proof. It's got the IECX and the ATEX certification on it. You can just see there in the model, that's a 300 kilowatt size, that one. And we launched that in 2019, and two of these have been operating successfully in a coal mine in Australia for the Centennial Group. Just next slide, please. So these are just typical images, layouts of what we do in the different sectors. So in China, the top left-hand image there is how they like to have it. So this is an emulsion system. So typically you've got your 4 pumps there, so it's 3 running and 1 standby. This is a constant speed system. Then you have 2 tanks that go with that. So you have a surge tank and then the main emulsion tank. And then on the other side of that, you then have your water pumps and your water tanks as well. So this train car is quite long, that they have to get down the mine, and they have to move it as the roof supports move. You end up having to move this whole system. So weight and size is a key thing in the China mines, because you need to make it as narrow as possible, because these typically run alongside the belts when you're working in China. The bottom left there is a layout that we do in the US. So the US have slightly wider, they don't like them all in a train behind each other. So we position them next to each other, adjacent to each other instead, and then we have a separate cart for the tank. And then the 2 images on the right is how we would do it in Australia. In Australia, they tend to use crawler skids. So we mount our equipment onto the crawler skid, and then that's what they use to be able to move it around to put it into the different cut-throughs. The bottom one there is just showing the 2 Agilis units. In a very nice colour, I think. There in Australia, you have to. Sorry, I think we put. Yeah, in Australia, 1100 volts. So these are 1100 volts. These motors, which are 1100 volt, have to be painted blue. So I put my Manchester stamp on that, shall we say, on that product. I was glad it wasn't the 3.3 kV, which have to be red. Next slide, please. So even though 90% of our business is in the underground longwall coal mining industry, we still also have quite a few systems in industrial systems in the segment. So our main one is descaling, oil and gas umbilical, power generation, tube press, and hydraulic press and steel mills. So we've got a couple of the steel mills here in the UK. We have our equipment there. We have our S500 pumps there. So in the descale system, what we do is we provide the high pressure fluid to descale the material. So the higher grade descale, the more material, the more price that the material is worth. So it's very important, and it has to be very specific, quite precise. So we use variable speed technology a lot there in the descaling systems to be able to ensure that the customer gets the best descaling that we can. Next slide, please. And then this is just an example of the layouts that we've done for the different industrial markets. So at the top right hand side there, that was what we supplied to a steel mill for the descaling application. So the descaling application is normally only around 250 bar. On the left hand side, top left hand side there, that's what we did for an oil and gas company for umbilical testing. So this is where they pressurize the umbilicals under the sea before they allow the oil to run through, so make sure there's no leaks. That goes up to 30,000 psi, so quite significant pressures that's going through. And just the image at the bottom there is a power generation, so it's for cleaning. So in power generation, when you get all your soot, they use the high pressure of the pumps to enable to clean that down to ensure efficient operation. And that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kathryn. As a Chelsea fan, I'm happy with painting the motors blue. You just need a bit of a darker blue.